Chairman, good evening, everyone. It's a big privilege for us to have. Yes, we are very, very privileged to have His Lordship with us this evening. And he was gracious enough to come in very early and to have to wait for even some MUTA members to come in. I believe more people are still coming, but we got to get started. So without wasting much time, I want to call on the MUTA president, Dr. Aka Ayangaka, to welcome His Lordship officially.
Thank you, Professor, for that wonderful introduction. My name is Aka Ayangaka. Come on, the MUTA president here. And I'm honored to have you all join us this evening for what promises to be an enlightening and wonderful discussion. I would like to especially welcome His Excellency, the Most Reverend Isaac Bundepun Dugu, the Catholic Bishop of Katsina-Ala Diocese and Chairman of the Sandra Peace Project, for graciously accepting our invitation to speak on this very important topic of the Sandra Peace process and the state of the IDP. At MUTA, in the Townhall, we are committed to providing a platform for dialogue on issues that are important to us and our communities in Nigeria and beyond. Again, the Sandra region has faced a lot of challenges. This peace process is an important step towards rebuilding lives, especially for the IDPs who continue to bear the brunt of the conflict between ourselves and Fulani people. So this evening's conversation is not only timely, but necessary, as it gives us the opportunity to deepen our understanding of the ongoing efforts for peace and reconciliation in Tivland. I therefore encourage everyone to engage fully and ask thoughtful questions as we explore ways we can contribute as a community, as MUTA, to finding a lasting peace and development in Sankara and other affected areas of that team. So on that note, I want to once again thank you for being here, and I look forward to a productive and inspiring session. God bless and welcome. Thank you. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, thank you very much, President Ayangaka. Yes. Maybe I omitted something here. My assumption is always that everybody knows me, but that may not be true. Maybe that assumption ends here with MUTA. My name is Joseph Zume. I am from Buruku local government in Benue State. Mungu professor Umge here at Shippensburg University, Pennsylvania. Yeah, so all right. I am the chairman of the MUTA Strategic Engagement Committee. We have a very big mandate. First, we started as an IDP committee where we were looking at the plight of the IDPs, advocating for their welfare and all of that, and return to their ancestral homes. But the current president of MUTA, in his wisdom, decided to give us a new name and expand our mandate. If you are talking, please mute yourself so that we don't interfere with each other. Sorry, respectfully. So the MUTA president decided to expand our mandate. So right now, we take on any issue that affects Tivland and Tiv people anywhere. For example, just about a week ago, we received videos of some Tiv girls who spoke in Tiv language. They're stranded in Libya. And we had to engage the authorities very quickly to look at that. And so it was in this spirit that we reached out to His Excellency, His Lordship, Bishop Dugu, to discuss with him, or to hear from him about all the great work that he's been doing concerning the Sankara crisis and also the IDP situation in his diocese. And so we are honored to have him here. I must recognize a few people in our midst today. Please mute yourself if you are not permitted to talk yet, please.
Is it possible for the host to mute everybody else who is not talking?
Okay. All right. So we are honored to have other brothers and sisters in our midst today, some of them joining from Nigeria. And we want to welcome you sincerely. Among them here is the VC of Benue State University, Professor Toyoropu. Wait, I'm in a meeting. Go and meet him. Yeah, Professor Toyoropu joined very early, and we need to recognize him because the MUTA president here is his own. He's an alumnus. My own mentor and president of Illinois State University, Professor Townhall, is in the house. The newly appointed Director General of the Diaspora Engagement, Professor Abraham Gigi, is also with us in the house. And I see Professor Ta Adeji is also in the house. I knew Professor Ta Adeji when I was just starting as a graduate assistant at the University of Jos. I haven't seen him in over 20 years. So I'm excited to see that he's in our midst today. I won't go on recognizing everybody, but please know that we really appreciate your attendance here. I was just going to recognize a few that joined from home. The Nigerian guys, we welcome you. We thank you for taking your time to be with us. And without wasting much further time, I will turn the microphone now to Reverend Father Francis Asomkasi, who will tell us a little bit more about the Honorable Bishop that is in our midst today. Father, over to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Professor Zume and the planning committee for this important opportunity to introduce Bishop Zume. Bishop Dugu. The great physicist Isaac Newton once said, "If I have seen a little farther, it is because I am standing on the shoulders of giants." We as TIF people are also gathered here this evening virtually, though, standing on the shoulders of our TIF giants, heroes who fought for the common good of our TIF nation. Our ancestors imbibed the spirit of Ayatutu, and as such, what affected one TIF person affected the entire TIF land. It is with that same spirit today that we are here to brainstorm and come up with solutions for what is affecting TIF land, particularly the Sankara axis. And in that regard, there is no better person, at least for now, to speak to us on this topic than the Most Reverend Bishop Dugu. Most Reverend Isaac Bundepun Dugu was born on April 14, 1971 in Boku, Benue State. And he was ordained a Catholic priest on October 21st in 2000 for the old Makurdi Diocese. Bishop Dugu then studied philosophy at St. Thomas Aquinas Major Seminary in Makurdi, 1992 to 1994. And then St. Augustine's Major Seminary in Jos from 94 to 99. After a few years of pastoral experience at Holy Ghost Parish Abidak, and that was from 2000 to 2003, and St. Mary's Parish Chito in 2003, Holy Ghost Parish, Macaulay, 2003 to 2004. Bishop Dugu then was administrative secretary with the Catholic Secretariat of Nigeria, then located in Lagos, from 2004 to 2007. In 2007, Bishop Dugu proceeded to Germany, Frankfurt, for further studies, where he studied Christian social ethics. Upon his return to Nigeria, he was appointed the Chancellor of the Catholic Diocese of Makurdi, 2011 to 2013. The chaplain of schools of Nelson and Midwifery in Makurdi within the same period of time. Bishop Dugu joined the clergy of the Catholic Diocese of Boko upon the creation of Boko Diocese on December 29, 2012. He became the pioneer chancellor of Boko Diocese and the priest in charge of St. George's Rectory, Chabo, 2013 to 2018. He was a member of the College of Consultants for Boko Diocese. Bishop Dugu served as the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria in the capacity of Peritus, that is, an expert on church and state relations. That lasted from 2013 to 2018. And on his appointment as the Catholic Bishop of Katsina-Ala on Saturday, April 9, 2022, by the Holy Father Pope Francis, Most Reverend Dugu was the Director, Pastoral Agent Department of the Catholic Secretariat of Nigeria, at this time moved to Abuja. Bishop Dugu is the author of two important books, Whispers from the Chapel and Melodies of Our Faith. He has also had an important role in the community and lives of others. He speaks German and is a lover of sports, especially badminton. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my profound privilege and honor to introduce to you Bishop Isaac Bundepun Dugu, who is going to speak with us. And really quickly, before Bishop Dugu takes on, I guess, following in the footsteps of what Professor Zuma said, I should say that I forgot to mention a little bit, just a few seconds about myself. I am Francis Asankasi, a Josephite priest, also ordained for the Josephite, studied in the US, and then ordained to work here. Presently, I live in Baltimore as the pastor of St. Peter Claver St. Pius V, but I'll be leaving at the end of next month to go on mission, my new assignment, which will be in Detroit, Michigan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father Samkasi. And so the program is going to go like this. Bishop Dugu is going to take over now. He will lead us with the opening prayer, and then he will give us his presentation. At the end of the presentation, we will have a question and answer session, which will be highly interactive, after which I will offer concluding remarks, and Bishop Dugu will again offer the concluding prayer for us. So, at this point, I want to call on His Lordship, the Very Reverend Bishop Isaac Bundepun Dugu, to address us at this time. Over to you, my Lord.
All right, so before we launch into the deep seal, let's begin with a word of prayer. I guess we can have been displayed on your screens, I guess. See the prayer over there?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so we can just pray together. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Together, direct, O Lord, we beseech you, all our actions, your Holy
inspirations,
and carry
bring
them
them
on by your gracious assistance. That
every prayer
prayer and work
of
of
our
us may
may
begin
begin
always
and
from
you
you,
Be
and
happily
by
and
you be happily ended.
through Christ our Lord.
Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Our Lady of Perpetual,
Lady of
pray for
pray
us.
For
for
us,
us.
Saint Joseph, pray
Pray
for
for
us.
for
us.
us,
For us.
Gerard Magella,
Pray
pray for
pray
for us.
for us.
Pray for us.
the Son of the Holy Spirit.
Son
Amen.
and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
So, first of all, I return all glory and honor to God, Almighty Father, for this very auspicious opportunity given to me to share with my brothers as it concerns the peace process in Sankara and a very noble initiative to begin a school for the displaced children along with their families. Secondly, I wouldn't take for granted to say very special thanks to this great initiative by MUTA. And thanks also to Dr. Zume, who quickly got me on board and extended the invitation of MUTA to me and get me prepared for this moment. It's an opportunity I can't take for granted. I truly appreciate your love and your concern and your interest in what's happening here in Sankara. Thanks to MUTA again for all the great support they have rendered, offered to in terms of education, as well as the general development of our people. And thanks to MUTA also for their concern for the education of our people. I wouldn't forget to thank my brother, Professor Daule, on the way who, while I came visiting with him, introduced me to Professor Zume and made it very clear to him that I have a genuine cause here, which is to fight for and canvass for support for the children in the camp. I extend my appreciation to all of you who are here in attendance at this Zoom meeting. Without much ado, let me go straight into the issues that perhaps have brought us here together. And before I go further, I'm interested in building a background to whatever I would like to say. I'm influenced by my discipline, which is, as has been said, Christian social ethics. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. So let's go to, I want to give you some bit of data which will serve as a background to the entire discussion. This data is not exhaustive. It's not exhaustive. This data is within the 1.5 years. You can imagine that before now, there are many of such data more serious than this one I'm going to share with you today. Let's take a look at the first column. The list here has the different localities, Sankara, Kasa, Akai, down to the end, along with those who are killed, the columns here, those who are killed, the number of those kidnapped, those who are injured, those whose zincs, that is those who have zinc houses destroyed, those thatch houses destroyed, churches destroyed, school destroyed, clinic destroyed, those who are shut down, and persons who are displaced, and the ransom that has been paid for the last 1.5 years. That gives you an idea. And then when you go down to the top button, the total, those who have been killed in the last 1.5 years in Sankara, they are more than 335.
Oh my gosh.
This is only those that I have data of. And this data is put from by diocese covers the entire Sankara. And we are determined to update this data on a daily basis. My priest, the department of the FJDPC, work day in, day out to see that records are kept to the best of our ability. Those kidnapped within this period numbers to 203. And the number of those injured, 104. And this data does not cover those who were injured in the last 1 month, because this data, the last update was in the month of September. Now, those houses, zinc houses destroyed, 917. Detached houses, 5,741. The number of churches destroyed. This includes both Catholic Church and the other ecclesial bodies. Number of schools destroyed. This includes my school and other schools within Sankara axis. Number of clinics destroyed, 6. Now, those who are shot, those who are suffering from bullets, who are still trying to recover, 200. Now, persons who are displaced, about 12,000, more than 12,000 as a matter of fact. Then the amount we have paid thus far for ransom, 161 million. And that just gives us just a brief statistics of what we are facing here. Now, that being said, let me take you back quickly to the efforts that we have made before I even became a bishop. And at this point in time, I want to recognize the passion with which our present Chief, His Royal Majesty Professor James Yonzu Ayase has put in place to canvass for peace in this region. In all honesty, our prayer has been relentless on appeals for calm from those boys who are in the bush. Not just him, but his own rest in peace. The SY to Sankara. His Royal Highness, the late Abokin Shirwa. Recall that Abokin Shirwa died a day after he convoked a meeting of all the prominent sons of Sankara for a peace meeting. That also recognizes the contribution of the other traditional rulers within Sankara. And of course, also, some politicians who have continued to make appeals either at funerals or at Thanksgiving services or masses, as the case may be. All hands have been on deck to talk peace and to ensure that peace returns to our land. I'll go quickly to talk about what my predecessor has done. May so rest in peace. Amen. The late Bishop Peter Yonzu Adobo. Bishop Adobo's episcopacy started when these whole banditry trend just began barely like maybe 3 years before his ascending into the throne as Bishop of Katsina-Ala Diocese. So he was right there when these boys started, going haywire. Bishop Adobo could go as far as the bushes to meet with those guys and to try to convince them to sheath their sword and to come back and embrace good ways of living and also to be converted. He did that with every drop of his blood. And he also saved the situation here. The place here where we have here in Chile and Curab, it was almost like it would have been a genocide if not with his intervention. So he intervened and calmed the nerves of these two tribes, and there was peace. He worked very hard. That was in the year 2017. When Bishop Adobo was called to eternal glory, Bishop Avenia of Boko Diocese came here as the administrator. One of the things that he did, which till today we still remember him, was the fact that he brought in social activities through football activities and other cultural activities. And that really helped to unite boys. The Hausas here in Katsina-Ala, the boys, the Cutlass boys, the bandits who are in the bush, and that created some level of love, some level of togetherness amongst them. And also he occasionally could organize workshops for the traditional rulers, workshops on leadership. And of course, at masses, at funerals, he always appealed to them to sheathe their sword and also to embrace peace. During my time, what I have done is just simply to leverage on what my predecessors have done. And any other person who had spoken about peace had done in Sacred Axis. I'm not doing anything differently. I'm simply leveraging on the glories of my predecessors, but particularly emphasis on the bishops who worked here. If you look at my vision, my vision of the diocese, I have 4 pillars. The one is about the Word of God, emphasis on evangelization and catechesis. Second is on integral family values. The third is about integral formation and education. The fourth is about peace and reconciliation initiatives. So I married the vision of the Bishop of Boko and the then Bishop of Katsina-Ala to bring on board my vision. The point 4 of my vision talks about peace and reconciliation. And from day 1 of my episcopacy, the day I was ordained a bishop, on the 1st of July, 2022, I unveiled this vision. And since then, my eyes have been focused on all the visions, but now particularly peace and reconciliation initiative. So besides that, I have always encouraged my people because I know that prayer works. And I have always encouraged my people to pick up their rosaries so that we can fight this menace. We can fight this trend. And I can assure you that what you hear today of good news from Sankara cannot be unconnected with the commitment of our people, of our lay faithful, of the clergy in prayers. And I told them that the power of the rosary is more powerful than the AK-47. So emphasis has been laid on prayers, and also appeal. So I've also leveraged on what Bishop Adobo and Bishop Avenia did. We still now organize annually what we call Sankara Peace Marathon. That gives the young people the opportunity to come together and play football. We have also introduced another dimension of cultural appreciation, where women especially encouraged to come and compete the best ways of cooking particular delicacies, particular chief delicacies. And I can tell you that has really resonated very well with our people here. Currently, we are about to begin preparations to host this year's marathon. Now, one other step which I took, which was very deep, was the fact that when I saw that my people here, I mean every single human being in Sankra axis, God has placed me here as a shepherd over them. It is not just about those who are Catholics, but every single human being in Sankra, God has placed me to watch over them. If it gets to a point where everyone has to leave Sankra, I, as bishop, must be the last person to leave Sankra to ensure that the last person behind is being taken care of before I disappear. That explains why the red cap you see me wear here is red, which is a sign of martyrdom. The buttons of the bishop on the cassock is a sign of martyrdom. So I'm here to die for my people. So my efforts, therefore, having seen that day in, day out, my people are killed, innocent lives are lost. We have lost the sense of the dignity of the human life. To some extent that in certain villages, when they get up and they don't hear a gunshot, they're like surprised. It's strange. So it got to that level whereby hearing gunshots was a very normal thing. And when we don't hear a gunshot, we begin to ask ourselves, what is wrong? What is wrong? So to end this kind of situation, the constant loss of lives, the constant gunshots in the air, I said to myself, it's high time I also do something more serious. What did I do therefore? I went to see the governor of Benin State, His Excellency, Governor Hyacinth Alia, and I requested of him for an appointment so that he comes to the diocese so that myself and him and my priest will sit him down and tell him practically what we're experiencing here. Because we live with the people here in Sankara. My parishes, we live we're closer to them than anyone else. So we know what we feel than anyone else. So let him come so that we tell him what we are experiencing, and also prefer some solutions that might help him to help us to regain peace in the land. Graciously enough, he honored the invitation. I did not only invite him, I also extended the invitation to some prominent politicians in this land. And all those whom I invited honored my invitation. They all honored my invitation. Think about, apart from Suswam, who gave excuse that he was somewhere else on a journey, every other important politician here in this land there was present. Now, the meeting was all about trying to provide solutions. It was not for any blame game. It was to see that, okay, this is the situation we have found ourselves. Where do we go from here? A week before that meeting, 2 weeks before that meeting, the local government of Katsina-Ala had convoked a meeting, and in this meeting, it was agreed that all the local governments should go meet with their respective wards and kindreds and discuss ways in which peace shall be restored in Sankra. So we came to the meeting, and after our meeting, we discovered that Katsina-Ala met, but Ukum and Logo had not met. And as you know, Sankra is made up of 3 local governments: Katsina-Ala, Ukum, and Logo. So we concluded, we unanimously concluded that Ukum should go and meet. And Ukum, truth be told, went and met. In the same way, Logo, therefore, the governor now mandated me to go and facilitate the meeting. At the meeting that he came here, he made me the facilitator, so to say, of this peace process in Sankara. That's why if I go meeting with traditional rulers, because of the mandate given to me by the governor, that I'm doing so. So we met in Logo, we met in Ukum, and Ukum's meeting was very key. It was key because the prominent boys that we know here, who are perhaps the architects of crisis and fighting and killings, were actually from Ukum. Some of them are from Ukum. We know of Full Fire. Full Fire is from Atereyange, and Chen is from Turu. They are all Ukum actors. Now, that meeting, Full Fire sent his boy to represent him. Chen did not send, but he spoke thereafter. The picture you see here, we invited the two paramount rulers of Atereyange and Turu to come to report to us about their two sons. They came and they also reported to us. Full Fire made a video and sent to us to saying that he heard the message of the governor through Bishop, so he's ready to, sheath his sword and embrace peace. Now, what happened thereafter was an expanded meeting, which I eventually now convoked. This meeting, first of all, with the traditional rulers, I invited all the second-class chiefs for a meeting with a very clear mandate that they should go back to their respective kindreds and wards and invite their boys, their sons who are in the bush, as well as those who are home. We call them the cutlass boys. The ones in the bush call them Bakwende. So they to have meeting with them. So the mandate was that what is their role? I want to find their role in terms of the peace building process that we have initiated. The response we got from those boys were awesome. They all came out to say that we want peace. It is enough. We want peace. And we also sent them to go and convey to them that if they want peace, what are their agitations there for, before and now? And the feedback we got from those boys has been so heartwarming. You could see today that the boys that were never heard, that were never seen, today we hear from them. Today we see them. Some of them called me, and we are constantly in communication, trying to see how we can broker peace in our land. Now, the last meeting we had was a very expanded meeting where they now send their lieutenants to come and represent them at this meeting. The picture you see here, these are the lieutenants of Chen from Ituru. The other picture, the guys from my left-hand side, my left-hand side. The other chiefs here are the traditional rulers who attend such meetings with them. You must have seen also the other of our generals who are there represented. This committee, I head it, but then the governor decided to add more members to this committee. We have, as members of this committee, a Commander Bamuan, we have Brigadier General Bo, we have Brigadier General Malu, we also have Brigadier General Nyam. We work handy with the Commander Operation Wise Stroke, the guy from Jaws, Lebdung. So all the meetings that we organize, they try to make out time to be present. So that has been a story of of our efforts thus far. Perhaps let me not bore you with long stories about this, but I guess when you ask your questions, I will now respond to them based on where you're coming from. But maybe since this discussion has two layers, let me quickly, with the permission of the moderator, to go in quickly and talk about the IDPs, very briefly though. Am I permitted, moderator?
You are, my lord.
Very good. Very good. Now, when I went to the US, my holiday was in July, I carried on my mind my children who are suffering in Anyi, the camp in Anyi, as well as in Ugba, who have no one to grant them access to education thus far. These children have been there for the past 14, 15, 16 years. Some of them are born there. Many of them are born there. Those that I have sent for, I have absorbed as my children, my schools are born there. So I went to the US and I made an appeal, all thanks to my son, Father Faimega Peter, who is in St. Louis Archdiocese. Father Peter is a priest of Sankara extraction, but a priest of St. Louis Archdiocese. So I went to visit with him, but before then I had requested of his bishop to come and carry out some appeal for these children, and the bishop graciously accepted. I spent a month and 2 weeks in St. Louis, and then crossed over to Savannah, Georgia, where one of my priests is also on mission. All thanks to the Bishop of Savannah for his collaboration. They gave me the opportunity to talk about these kids and to request for support. So when I came back, I decided, even as the funds have not yet hit my account yet, but I live in hope that it will surely hit the account, because they told me when it shall come. I decided to push resources elsewhere to build quickly a block of 4 that can accommodate about 25 kids on each of the blocks. Then I renovated the Old Father's house in Enyi for the congregation which I have got to run the school, sisters, 2 of them, and a seminarian, and 3 other staff for now to begin the school. So we got about 200 kids, 150 in Anyi and 50 in Ugba. So because they have no one to look after them, we decided to make everything available for them so that they can have access to education. Because I am convinced that, you see, you can't talk about going back to their ancestral lands to build homes for them to occupy and to go back when you're not putting in place measures that will prevent them from not going back. So I feel that since nothing has been put in place to protect them as they go back to their ancestral land, something has to be done. So I found out that education and skill acquisition are veritable instruments for reintegration into the society. So when they are educated, in my own mind, they will find themselves eventually in the society. Years to come, they can go back and trace their roots and build their place. And then for their parents, if there are capacities for us to establish industries or small-scale businesses, they can be engaged and look after themselves, so that eventually, when they're able to build their capital to a level where they themselves can now reintegrate themselves into society, so be it. So we started this school, and the excitement in Anyi from these camps have been awesome, 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 awesome. My JDPC staff went down and did the screening, did the interviews to determine which grades they will be enrolled on. We carry out medical tests. On the day before the inauguration of this school, we went and had all their hair properly cut. You will see them looking very handsome and beautiful in those pictures. That was the work that was done. It interests you to also know that, let me laugh more. Two of the ladies who have prepared to begin school disappeared 2 days before the school resumed. Where did she go? She got married in Taraba and left. A young boy in Enyi who helped the police with those trunks they keep on the road, and they pull it away when they want a car to pass, working with those policemen, refused to join the school team. So we had to force him. We had to force him to wear uniform, force him to barb his hair, and drag his feet down to the school. I'm sure he's very happy now, doing what he's doing. So we have started the school, and we are planning in the future to provide at least lunch for these kids. We have got them uniforms, we have got them sport wears, and then we have also made arrangement for their medical check and care, and then the sisters are there watching over them. Now, I picked about 21 from these two camps onto my secondary schools. I have 17 in St. Paul Secondary School, Kiado. I have 7 in St. Gerard's Secondary School, Katsina-Ala. I have 7 girls also in Divine Love Secondary School, Katsina-Ala here. I sent 2 to Arichelis 8 Secondary School in Enugu. And 2 weeks ago, 2 went down to Presentation Secondary School in Ida. So this has been the story thus far. Let me not bore you with these long stories in case some person might be agitating to ask a few questions. So we can pick up from there. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Your Lordship, for this passionate presentation. It's very comprehensive. I am sure people are already applauding. If we were seated in a hall, it would be a thunderous applause. When I reached out to His Lordship and I listened to the work, this is heavily summarized. It's a huge summary of the work that His Lordship and his committee and his team have accomplished, both on the axis of the Sankara crisis and what he is doing in his diocese with the kids in the IDPs. When His Lordship told me that his own vision of reintegration of those kids, right, actually returning the IDPs to their ancestral homes is different. It's through the education of these kids. Because government bureaucracies will not allow these people to be returned to their ancestral homes in the next, who knows for how long. And so his vision is to give these kids a future instead of leaving them in the IDP camps, so that through education, they can naturally reintegrate themselves in the society wherever they choose to go. And I felt that was very visionary, and I wanted him to meet with us, MUTA members. And I am so glad that important people have joined from home. Not that some people are not important, but people who have the means and the man to speak, and other people in the society will listen to them. We have 2 VCs, one current and one former, Professor Campbell my good friend has joined. I can see him there. And so with people like this listening, it is foreseeable in the near future that the work that our bishop is doing, especially with the IDP kids, could be supported. And also, such effort could be replicated elsewhere. We have several, even Catholic dioceses in Benue State. Some of those also have IDP camps in them. We also have Anglican and many individuals that, when inspired or if inspired by what His Lordship is doing in his diocese, may decide to step up and help these children. This is the future of Tiv land that is languishing in IDP camps. So I won't go too far because I know many of you have questions. I'm already seeing a few.
Yeah, there are questions in the chat.
In the chat. So
Yeah.
We're going to make this as interactive as possible.
Yeah.
So at this point, I will call on you guys to come forward with your questions. If you have a question, just use the Zoom features there to put up your hand, and then I will call on you to ask your question. Please, let's keep questions as succinct as possible. Questions should be questions. Avoid giving a lengthy background before you ask. And at the end of it, or MUTA will be taking ideas, because we really, I know in this gathering, it can't get better than this. The wonderful brains of Tivland are here on this forum now. So this is the time to also not just think about asking questions, but also thinking of solutions. We can also brainstorm here. And so we will call on you that if any idea occurs to you regarding how we can solve the problem in Sankara, or the problem or problems of the IDP kids, MUTA will collect those. We'll be very, very happy to collect those and see how we can work together. And there are many avenues that we can work with His Lordship to see that not just peace returning to Sankara, but the question of what happens after peace returns will be addressed. So without much further ado, I now want to open this space for questions and answers. Now, since President Tahule's question was already the first one in the chat, is President still here? Maybe he might want to ask the question orally.
Yeah, I am, but just read it for the bishop. It will go faster.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking for. Okay, so here is the question, my lord. What are the main agitations and complaints or reasons of the young people fighting? What do they want?
Right. That's a very good question, Prof. There are many agitations. They have many agitations. First, they are not happy, all of them, in spite of their division, because they are in different camps. And in all of these camps, these boys were under one leadership, was under the leadership of Ghana. Now, at the last amnesty, which took his life, the boys are aggrieved. They're unhappy that their boss was killed the way he was killed. Even as I began this process of talking peace, inviting them to come out and let's talk, there's this I meet this high level of distrust. And the question they ask me, I hope it should not end up the same way it ended with Ghana. So that's one of the agitations. Another is the unequal political arrangement. In Ukum, for instance, Logo, for instance, where they notice that some persons have appropriated the monopoly of giving political appointments to a particular family or a particular group of persons. That is also one of the agitations. Another agitation of theirs is the monopolization of the year markets around Sankra. Is it Dodonga market? Is it Takebia market? Because you see, as you know as well as I do, that we don't have any industry here. Our main industry here is industry of yam. And our main focus, our main business, big business focus is the market. And on a daily basis, not less than 100 trucks leave Sankra to other places. So if you ask me about the agitations, those ones come very quickly to me. And also that they complain heavily that the politicians have betrayed them. Because they armed them before now, they made promises to them, and now they have disappeared without the politicians also responding to the bid which they promised them. So these are some of the things that I can quickly remember now as the agitations. The other ones are intra here, I mean, fight over supremacy and leadership. Every day before now, the groups are being factionalized. They're fighting as to who is the main guy now, flowing from Ghana. All the boys you hear today, they were Ghana's boys. Now Ghana is no more. So when Ghana died, they broke into different factions. And the different factions create for other factions. So it's a fight over supremacy, who becomes the guy in vogue for the moment.
Professor Zube, can I add something quickly to what the bishop just said about agitation?
Yeah, you pay $5. Go ahead.
I will. I'll give you 10. but anyway, Bishop, thank you very much. My name is Sandra Nagauva. I'm actually from Vase. And you've been around that area, so Vase is like in the center of what is happening. So I do have some information around what is going on there. You did mention about the yam markets. And quite honestly, this is what is driving all of this. It's all about economics. We don't have time here for me to kind of go into this, but all of this comes down to economics. And if there's any way we can figure out a way to kind of bring these guys, give them something tangible to be doing, then we can maybe get to the root cause of this. But all of this has to do with economics. All the divisions and everything is about who controls the money that comes out of the yam market. I have a yam market in Vase, so I kind of have an idea how all these things is going. But I'm glad that you kind of picked that up as one of the key agitations, control of the yam markets around Sankra.
Okay, thank you, Lord. I will maybe His Lordship has something to say.
No, more questions if there are.
Okay. So let me, Commissioner Timothy G put a question here in the chat, and it reads, we have heard about the complicity of some of our traditional rulers in the atrocities that are being perpetrated by the militants. What is the path forward in deterring such confirmed behavior and in rehabilitating the militants. So I guess this is what I was also referring to, that will we all be thinking about the way forward? But I will let his lordship answer, but it is our collective responsibility now to begin to think of ways we can help with the DS to handle this long term. Your lordship.
Right. Doctor, that's a very good question, and I'm sure you asked that question based on also where you come from, what's happening in your locality at the moment. G is from Ugba. G is from Ugba, so I'm sure I would have preferred that G also rather adds his voice in terms of his contribution than to pose a question, because he knows this one more better than I do. But however, let me try to scratch some surfaces of that question. It is rumored because I don't have the facts to say that yes, majority of the chiefs have been compromised. They have been compromised with some of them using the cutlass boys to carry out activities in their own defense, or to use them to fight those who oppose them. So this is what is happening. Like I said, I have no facts, but this is the rumor in town. So it's one of them. So, and it's also rumored that most of those traditional rulers came on board not from popular acclamation, but from some politicians who felt that they would anoint them as such to become our rulers. So those are the issues. And like I said, Dr. G, if you have further contributions to add to this point, you feel free to make your contribution and ask a question.
Dr. G, willing to take up that challenge?
My Lord
Yeah.
Bishop, thank you so much.
Before you go ahead, another point which I will not forget to ask quickly is the fact that it has also been alleged that many of those traditional rulers have leased our ancestral lands to Fulanis and have collected money. That gives the Fulanis the ample opportunity to graze here with impunity and to kill people with reckless abandon. These are a concern. And sometimes it's also been rumored that the bandits also connive with the traditional rulers to allow the Fulanis to come in. So these are some of the issues on board. This topic is concerned.
Okay, Dr. G.
Yes, my Lord Bishop, thank you so much for the work you are doing and for the excellent presentation, which has given us a lot of enlightenment on some of the work that you are doing. Unfortunately, I do not have confirmations on some of these issues that have been raised. And I felt that maybe since you have been involved directly with the meetings and allegations and maybe some investigations, you may have some confirmations as to what the complicity of some of our traditional rulers has been alleged. But I hear about some of these things which are very difficult for me to believe, but they keep repeating themselves over and over again about how our traditional rulers are involved, both in Logo, in Ukum, even in Katsina-Ala. Some of them like hiding places for even people that have been taken, and them sharing resources and aiding and abetting the criminals. It's very difficult for me, who is not on ground, to fathom why a traditional ruler would do that. But some of those stories keep reoccurring every now and then. So I was thinking that maybe in the course of your work, you may have be able to confirm some of those allegations. And if so, what either your committee or the state government or security or whatever agency is going to be responsible for providing solutions to this is going to do to deter such behavior. Because we would expect that traditional rulers should be helping in bringing peace, not in creating conflicts or this kind of atrocious activities that we hear about. So, but thank you so much for the enlightenment. And my senior brother, Professor Townhall is here, so I won't speak too much because he is at home, so maybe he might have some more information, because recently, as last week, I heard that another traditional ruler was kidnapped from his own zone, from Professor Deji's, almost the same village, in the same part of our local government where Professor Deji comes from. So thank you so much. Let me just stop here for now.
Thank you, Dr. G. Let me come in here very quickly that we have seen videos, we have heard some of those allegations, and in some videos, it appears that the complicity of some of the traditional rulers have been confirmed in some of the videos. But in inviting His Lordship to come, we talked with him, and we wanted to be very careful so that the man of God doesn't come here and appears to be the one pointing fingers at people. He's in the work of trying to bring peace. And where he begins to make certain statements that could compromise the work that he's doing, I think we want to steer clear of that. And that is why we advised him that even if he knew who was involved, it would not be proper for him to open up here, because we don't know these days, news travels through the air. So just let's leave it that way. And I would ask then my overseeing Professor Tar Adeji if he's willing to say something, because he's at home and this is happening directly in his access. This will also give me the opportunity to see him again. I haven't seen him in over 20 years. So, Prof, are you still with us? It sounds like Prof might have dropped off.
Hello?
Oh, no, this is a wrong Prof. This is not Prof Adeji.
This is Professor Emeritus Igor.
Prof himself.
Yes. Emeritus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Are you going to talk?
Yes.
Professor Zuma.
Yes.
Professor
I'm
Zuma.
there. I have unmuted my.
Oh.
I have unmuted that.
Professor Emeritus Igor is on now. So let me say one or two things.
Okay.
Professor Zuma, I will differ with you.
Okay.
This is what this issue is going on and becoming issues. I was at an enlarged meeting during His Excellency Oton's administration, where a local chief was called out in the open and stripped of his chieftaincy title because he connived with the Fulanese right at the gathering of the people. He called him himself and said, "Come out," and called the local police officers from that area that the chief came from, not only to take off the beads, but to arrest him. They removed his shoes and arrested him right there. You see? So if we know that these are the people who are conniving with either the boys in the bush or with the felonies, and we keep on saying, no, we don't want to say anything. We don't want to say anything in public. I don't think we're doing ourselves any good. We will just be going in circles. I also know, as a fact, that some of the chiefs in Ukum and Logo, I heard their names, and in certain parties, I actually told people that, hey, look, these were the names that were given. And the people who were there from those areas left immediately, that they don't want to be reported that when Professor Emeritus was mentioning these names, they were there. And they confirmed that these were Ato from their area. You see? So if we keep on running away from speaking how a thief man would speak, we are not going to go anywhere.
All right, bro.
Yes.
Thank you for that observation. But in this case,
let me help you, Prof. Dume, please. Let me try and help you in this matter.
Okay.
I also I go with you on this position because the governor has given me the mandate, and I'm still in the course of doing my work with other members of this committee. So we have to present a report before him, not to this forum. So we are all going to put together all that we are doing to present before the governor. He will now decide what he wants to do. And he will now also want to, if he wants to verify the accusations, he has the mandate to do, the right to do so. So I think my being here is just to deepen this discussion to say that this is what is happening back at home. So if you are hearing from maybe on social media, I don't hear it from the source, But at the end of the day, I guess the governor might decide on what he wants to do with the reports that we shall put before him. So I think in order not to prolong this argument unduly, let's go with what Dr. Zume had just proposed.
All right, my lord. I would grudgingly accept that.
Thank you, Prof.
I will, Professor, tell my lordship, I will give him the names.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Beautiful.
Chairman, can I say something briefly?
Also the evidence.
What?
Please, Mr. President, go on.
I know there is a distinction here. Most of us are in the diaspora. We are not home. We are hearing some of these things over social media. And so to me, I was expecting that his lordship, His Excellency, will at least tell us that some of these things are truly happening. But to me, the key distinction here, he's still using the word alleged. I know he's waiting to submit a report to His Excellency. But in my mind, the point of this gathering is for him to enlighten us in the diaspora what is going on at home. And yes, this is a key point. It's an important one. Some of the traditional rulers involved. Is it yes or no? We're not asking His Lordship to mention names here. Has this been confirmed?
I can tell you yes.
They have all denied. They have all denied, which is why I said if that they have denied whatever proofs we have that we presented before the governor for him to make his own decision, because they have all denied. It is not in our mandate to judge at this point in time. Ours is just to follow up with the peace process and to present a recommendation before the governor. So I may not be able to, adjudicate at this point in time, because that does not belong to my mandate.
It's good. The other hands up too, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, let me turn this. I have seen hands. Agi Robert was up, and Obesin Obam next. But before them, Professor Deji was going to speak. So let me return the microphone to him.
Thank you very much. Can I speak now? Thank you very much, Professor Zume.
You're welcome.
I think I wanted to be in agreement with the statement you have made. His Excellency the Bishop has also reiterated. These are legal matters. And if I was there when Otom stripped two chiefs of their own titles, he had security information none of us had. One, as the governor of the state, and two, this were from his own very local government area. So what we hear, the hearsay, I don't think should be a matter of discussion here. So I side with your own view. I also, which, as I've said, the bishop has already reiterated. These things will eventually, when time comes for them to be out in open, they'll be out in open. But let's keep hearsay out of the matter. That's my view. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Obesin. Good to hear your voice again. Where's Robert? Robert had his hand up first. Robert, can you unmute yourself?
What about the questions on the chat?
All right, so
Are you forgetting about those ones?
Yeah, I will come back to those. Okay, Professor Oban, you are next. And I see Benedict Shinku. You will be next.
I don't know what I'm like, because sometimes I wonder.
And it's because it's what you call new hoshi joba to do. But unfortunately, I can't see again. I thought it. But look for that reason.
So I just wanted to also greet his lordship and to thank him for the work he's doing, and I pray God will continue to give him strength and wisdom.
Amen.
But I was wondering, since he's been on the scene and gone through some of the meetings, from his opinion, is there something, at least one thing that he thinks that can be done to alleviate the issue? I mean, something that he thinks, if this is done, or several things that can be done, it may help the issue, and how we can be involved to bring a solution. So, I'm sorry.
Your Lordship, that's to you.
Okay, that's fine. That's a very good question. A very good question. There's a lot that can be done. The land Sankara is very blessed by God. And we have able bodies, talented people here that can excel. They can excel to any level at all. So what I feel that can be done is that most of those things is because sometimes because of illiteracy is one of the reasons of these causes, illiteracy. And because of that, there is so much ignorance. So we now begin to feel that when you hold a gun, you have money. Anybody who holds a gun and goes out there, anybody is frightened. So you have money by so doing. And what I think can be done, either from the side of the government or from the side of some spirited individuals, is you see that they support the cause of industrialization. Always, just only one industry is established. It's only one industry established here. It will go a long way of eliminating this high level of militancy. Because this land is so much blessed. And I can tell you, if you go to Anyi, we have lithium, we have lithium there. What you call toji in tea. In some places, some persons have come to excavate it. And the locals are not benefiting from these extractions. When you go to a place called Chireka, you have zinc. An enormous deposit of zinc in Chireka. When you go to Shitile, in Asuku, a place called Asuku, you have clay soil, what you call Nyatu in Tiv. Then go down to your side. Shitile, because they call that place Gawa Yonaga. You have what you call Ikonia. I don't know the English name. You probably tell us the English name of Ikonia. This is rich deposit, rich deposit of sand for paint. Since so one of just these industries would transform the whole of Sakra. And then also other districts like Bama in Yono district, you have salt and precious stones. That is from the industrial and economic point of view. What you can also do from the other social aspect could be, maybe from an educational aspect, it could be to help us with scholarships, to train our children here who are so talented. And this is not just about secondary school, university, and all of that. You have technical schools too, that our boys can be helped to develop their talents. This will go a very long way, very long way. And because when those guys do not have access to education, they think that what matters is banditry. What matters is bad behavior. But when they have something they can look up to through education, you see that in the long run, all these things we worry about today will become a thing of the past. Another thing which I think you can also do is to support some of the activities that we are carrying out here back at home. I mentioned to you that my predecessor had established and instituted sporting festivals. That too can be supported. Cultural dance troops, that too can be supported. That can be revived. Akamba Yam Festival, that can be revived. And so you can look at it from the economic point of view, from educational point of view, from cultural point of view, among other things. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Your Lordship. That's plenty. Benedict, I will come to you in a second. There's a question in the chat here from Professor Emeritus Agwedima. And many of you heard about Chicago State University. I won't say how you heard about Chicago State University. It was in the news a lot last year. Professor Tima, who is with us here, recently retired from that university. If he was not so young, he would have taught some people there that matter in Nigeria today. But, I'll leave it there. So he has a question here that is, supposes that the principal actors behind the conflicts are known. That is how he put it. We know most of the principal actors behind these conflicts. We also know that if we hold them responsible, we will mitigate the conflict and attendant suffering. Are we willing and able to do that? So I believe this we categorize this question the same way. But this is something for us to think about. I have heard from credible sources that most of the allegations about the traditional rulers are true. Not just in Sankara. We know what our traditional rulers are capable of doing. Mimi has disappeared from 30. Chiwakwe Tokagu ma isho ana ogen maola na luipo. This has been going on for quite some time now. We don't need to even doubt that so the question is, it's very apt. Are we willing and able to do that? So when His Lordship submits his report, his committee's report to the governor, this is the question we should be asking the governor. I believe we'll be able to bring the governor on a Zoom forum and ask him if there is the political will to take action. Now, you can't use force here. It's understandable. But what can the government do? And of course, the government can't do everything. What can we do to restore that land? So, in fact, Mapati Kumbambana Busha Kwanechi. All right, sorry, Benedict, please. The floor is yours. You can now ask your question. It's Benedict Shinku. Benedict, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Chochi. Tiame Benedict Tetsia Shinkwi. Mine is not a question. It's a brief, small suggestion. Most of the areas that His Lordship mentioned is actually my village. Yonia is just a few miles from my village, so I'm very familiar with this terrain. I have been on hunting with some of my uncles, and we saw lions there when I was in secondary school, so I know I can confirm what he has said. But I think that what we are trying to do is to find a suggestion. I mean, to get suggestions and filter them and propose something to the government. What we are talking about started around 2003. And then it was a political problem. And it stayed for a while, and it became a security problem. And now some of us think it's a justice problem, not just a problem of politics, politicians, security, banditry, robbery, and all these things. I think what we are having now is a justice problem. And maybe if we take the approach of solving a political problem to solve a justice problem, we may still not get the solution we are looking for. Likewise, if we decide to treat a justice problem as a security problem, we may be applying measures that will not work because political issues and security issues will not necessarily be the same as justice problems. So now I come to address this justice issue because in presenting a solution to the government, Your Lordship, I would suggest that you look at that as well. So first, we are talking about traditional rulers. So what is their job anyway? I'm not sure they themselves know what their jobs are. The people who appointed them, I am aware that these traditional rulers do not even know what their jobs are. I know enough because I try to be a traditional ruler myself, so I know. So if a man is given a job and he does not know what the job is, he will make whatever he wants to be the job. And then going further, some of these traditional rulers are not getting the support that they need to function. That's aside not even giving a job description. I challenge any traditional ruler, anyone at all in Tiv land, to tell me what their job description is and who gave them that job description. I'm sure they don't have it. So they don't know what is supposed to be their job. So they do any job that they feel like doing. And besides, they are not supported. In fact, some of these traditional rulers are getting their validation from those sources that are a problem to the society. For example, if you are a Cho in Yoyo and the nearest police station is in Todonga, which is about 5 kilometers from you, and you need security to address an issue, the closest people to you are those boys who ordinarily parade as defenders of the land and at night become bandits and robbers. So all these kinds of things are problems around justice. Are we really running the society the way we should? Is the government really doing all they should to make that institution as effective as it ought to be? Then some of these boys, even the principal actor who died since 2020, Tewase, today, through the way we have managed our interaction with them, let me speak in Tiv that more or less, because they are actually demanding justice. If these boys have evidence to say that when campaigns were going on, people went to them to make promises to them, and now these people are in the offices they were aspiring to enter, and have not kept those promises, then there is a justice issue. One senator had said that if he won the election because he's a lawyer, if he wins the election, he would query what happened to Dewase and those boys that were arrested with him. He has won the election, he's in the Senate, but he has never asked about that. So that again is a justice issue. So those boys, a lot of them now are asking for justice. Some of them went into that because they were hot and they were looking for protection. Some, their family members were killed or their property destroyed. They had nowhere to go. They had nowhere to go ask or get justice, so they ran to go and join for protection. So it's not just a political problem, it's not just a security issue. There is a justice problem. And for me, justice has many dimensions. It's not all about applying sanctions, taking people to court, or punishing people. And I'm not going to talk about all of them because I need to give time for other people to make their contributions. But I'll just address one, which I think is probably the cheapest and the easiest, especially for the bishop, his lordship, who is here. One dimension of justice that we can begin to pursue, like yesterday, to help solve this problem is to help all the people who are affected or who have been affected by this problem over the last 20 years to put closure on their grief. We need to help people to put closure. Again, I refer to Dewase. Dewase, Ghana, he was my childhood friend. I have never denied my friendship with him. I've known him since we were children. Very gentle boy. I don't know how he became like this, but that's a matter for another day. Somebody needs to tell the family. He has wives and children. Somebody needs to tell, his father is still alive. His mother died 2 months ago. Somebody needs to tell them how it all ended with him. We know he was killed, but where was he buried? What happened to his body? We need to put closure to these kinds of things. Those boys that were arrested with him, over 60 of them, their parents, many of their parents are alive, many of their wives, their children, their brothers and sisters are alive. We need to help them to put closure by telling them, and the government has the power to do this. My lordship, Bishop Dugu, I've known him, maybe he doesn't remember, I've known him since he was a priest in Kufu Abayomi, the Catholic Center, the former Vatican embassy in Lagos. Well, then I was working with Total in Lagos at the time. Yes. Those boys, we need to help their families to put closure. They might be criminals, yes, but they were people's children, they were people's husbands, they were people's brothers, and so on. So we need to let those people know that this is what happened. Till today, some of those women, anytime I go around Katsina-Ala, they come to tell me that I should help them. They hear that their child is detained in Yobe, in Maiduguri, and all that. And I'm like, but somebody has to help these people put closure to this matter. And there are so many others. We can borrow a leaf from what happened in South Africa with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. People were given an opportunity to come and speak, to come and air their grievances. I have an uncle, Mr. Iwambe. He retired as a director in the Federal Ministry of Education. He was kidnapped. In fact, I go too far. My stepmother, she just left. She was kidnapped for 5 weeks. They released her, is now up to a month. People need to be allowed to air their grievances. If they want to cry, they can cry. But we need to give people room to say, I have forgiven, I will not seek vengeance, and I will let everything go. Even some of those boys need that opportunity. Many of them need that kind of opportunity to be allowed to come out to say why they went into that, to be allowed to own up and confess to some of the things they did, to show us where they buried some of the people that are still missing. A cousin of mine was kidnapped since May last year. We haven't heard again from them, and we haven't seen the corpse. So that has to happen.
Okay.
Because then we would be advancing the cause of justice, and after justice, we can have enduring peace.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Benedict. Thank you. And it's clear to me that you will need to link up with His Lordship, because I think his committee might benefit immensely from some of the ideas that you would pass to them. So, Your Lordship, yeah, I think you have a candidate here that you can put heads together with. He might have some useful ideas. Yes.
Absolutely. And not just him. Any of you who feels very strongly to make some proposals to this committee, that'll be highly welcome, because what Benedict is saying is precisely where we are headed to. Because we want to respect these brothers, despite the fact that, okay, they are in the bush, they are bandits, and they have killed people. No, but now it's a time for us to come back together as a family and see how we can move forward. So we have consistently emphasized that none of them should be touched in any way. And Toti has been very vehement on this. I've been very vehement on this. The governor has been very vehement on this. That very much as we walk towards their embracing this new approach of peace, the military should not touch them, none of them. And now we're trying to build that trust in them that now you guys are going to be protected. Nobody will be harmed, and you're going to be protected. So we are thinking positive about them. Indeed, yes. What I've given them an assignment to do, which is we are now trying to work on their data, because each of the groups have about at least 300 members, each of the factions, and you have almost about 10 different factions you're dealing with here. And so now they're trying to compute together their data, their names. I mean, their actual names, those not their names, those not their banditry names, but their actual names. Then their telephone numbers. Then if they are married, their marital status. If they are married, they should indicate to us. And how many wives. If they have children, they also indicate to us the number of children they have. In this way, we can plan better for them towards the amnesty program. for us, amnesty program is one of the last things that will happen. We have to ensure that the government is committed to this cause and has provided enough means to take care of them if they come out. Otherwise, they may go back and become worse. So thank you, Benedict, for that very insightful contribution. We're going to take on board also recommendation to the governor as it concerns restitution.
Okay. Thank you, Your Lordship. There are more questions. There are more questions in the. Victor Ghana, are you still here? I saw your hand up a while back.
My hand is up.
Okay, well, go for it.
Okay.
You need to raise a virtual hand or tway.
I can't find it on my screen. Sorry, I tried everything. I can't
It's
find
all
it.
right. Go ahead, sir.
That's why I'm waving like I'm crazy. Because I can't find the virtual hand on my screen. Anyway, my Lordship, the Bishop,
Thank you.
I'm so appreciative for this noble job that you picked up to do.
Thank you.
Noble and probably thankless, but we appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
Okay, a very simple question. Who mentioned here were some of the agitations? Bema a politician, Yamana Bunka. Again, we abandoned. And Shinko brush on that too. She, I hear say, whether from social media or from Muslim, but everything we get is social, is hearsay. So we have to use this hearsay. We also know that most of those traditional leaders are there because of political patronage. So, Mbema Rukutoho, who are the traditional leaders, not she, but connected to somebody in the middle that is the politician. My question is, discussion involved heavily on traditional leaders. What is the role of these politicians in this peace and reconciliation process? Are they involved? Are they sincerely involved? Are they part of it? We don't need names. We just want to know what they are doing in this reconciliation. Outside of the traditional leaders and them never get to home and give their whole thing account.
Thank you, Mr. Abuko. That's a very good question. I got them involved only on the first day of our meeting, where I wanted the governor to also to listen to them and to see how we can move forward. It was an occasion where we kept behind us blame game. It was to see that we have lost enough lives. There has been too much damage in our land. Let's move forward. So after the meeting, I deliberately did not bring them on board anymore, along with my committee that we're working together. We have deliberately kept them behind the scene. They have been asking questions, but then we tell them, no, let us engage ourselves. When we get stuck, we shall call upon you. But for now, we have not got stuck yet. The last time we had a meeting and they came, not mentioning names, I respectfully asked them to vacate the scene of our meeting. So they're not part of this discussion because we feel that there's time for us to get them on board and not now because they're part of what we're having today as our problems here. So when we are done with what we're doing and there's need for us to bring them on board, we shall draw the attention to it. But for now, they're not part of this discussion. A few that have tried to surface and appear in one meeting or the other in our communities, I always remind them, sorry, don't get involved.
Well, thanks for that input. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, moving along. Dr. Apinean Bem Caleb put his question here that His Lordship, you interrogate the security agencies in Sankara to unearth the perpetuation of banditry in the area. I guess he meant to say, did you interrogate the security agencies in the Sankara axis to unearth the perpetuation of banditry in the area? Caleb, was that what you meant? Okay.
Is that
again, Professor Dima is wondering if your committee and the effort you are making include a kind of a collaboration between the Catholic Church and the leadership of the other churches, such as the NKST, the Anglican, and Pentecostal churches?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. We have oftentimes invited the president of the NKST, and few occasions that he was not able to attend, he will always send someone to represent him, as well as the bishop of the Anglican Communion.
And then Mr. Jerome Hule is asking here that these bandits are hardened criminals with blood dripping from their hands. The state government had tried amnesty for criminals during Otom's administration, but it did not work. Is there any way to resolve this crisis without consequences for the bandits?
As I've got involved in this process of peace building and hope restoration, I have personally decided not to be calling them as bandits. I refer to them as my brothers. And if there are women amongst them, my sisters by extension. Because the word bandit for now does not connote still a negative. Because my experience with them for now is that they have almost all of them, except a few, have refused to embrace this peace process. But majority of them have indicated publicly that this is what they want. They are tired of staying in the bush. They want to come out and live as free human beings. And so, again, what happened to Ghana, they can't pretend that they're not, unhappy about it. So with that, therefore, we are trying to encourage them to build trust in us. Just like I said earlier, our emphasis is on the non-kinetic approach. So we're using love and concern and care and brotherhood to bring them on board. So I am convinced that the consequences that might eventually be seen will not be negative consequences, but positive consequences, where we shall have those guys reintegrated into society. They have already indicated what they desire. Others want to go back to farming. In fact, majority of them want to go back to the farm. It's just a few want to become policemen or military or other parastatals. But majority of them want to go back to their farm. So they're asking the opportunity of being empowered if the government so desires, and which is what the government of this day too, what we hear the governor emphasize, that he wants to really support and build capacity in these our brothers. So I feel that the consequences we talk about here, I see in a very positive light, because no life will be touched and nobody will be punished because of his past life.
Lordship, because I have the microphone,
yeah.
I will make a comment here that concerns me.
Right.
I am really at a crossroads here regarding how this amnesty, or so to speak, program will evolve without some negative consequences in other parts of Timland. So let's say these young people who have kidnapped and have killed, collected ransoms, and all of that are rather rewarded, because it's the only way. Using force it's not likely to solve the problem. My worry is that what happens if other young people looking elsewhere, let's say in another part of Timland, and say, hey, those ones in Sankara, they did all of that and they got government's attention to resettle them, to rehabilitate them. Why don't we do the same? Since it is now the way to get government attention. I don't have the answer to that, but that's my fear, that treating these guys with kids' clothes might actually engender something somewhere is in the future. But let's hope that's not the case. It's just what I've been thinking about. The best way to get government attention these days is to carry guns and they kidnap people, and then the government will give you amnesty and give you jobs. That is what that's my fear. I don't know how we are going to handle that delicate line.
Yes. Yeah, I completely identify myself with your anxieties about the perhaps prospective emergence of such trend elsewhere, because some who carried arms and kidnapped people were rewarded in a very special way. But I'm talking based on my current experience here and what I think is a lesser evil. In the situation in Sankara, the love approach, the brotherhood approach is the way to go. Not minding if this will surface elsewhere in the years to come in any community. For us here, that is the way to go. That is the way to go. But we pray that, just like you also indicated, that let this not happen elsewhere again. And I guess if we learn from the experience that we have here, if it begins to surface elsewhere, we use our experience here to tame the effect of it so that it doesn't blossom and become a problem to society.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Lordship. I would also suggest that whatever, I don't know, this is not to preempt what you're already thinking, but not to give these guys a blanket check, a blank check. They should also sign some undertaking that if they go back, this is what they will face. This time, you're giving them the benefit of the doubt that they will not go back. But if they go back, then they should face, whoever goes back should face the full right of the law.
Yes, and one of the things we intend to propose to the governor is to take their children on board and also grant them scholarship. Move them away from the locality here and put them in school in the Abuja, for instance, Makodi, for instance, Enugu, for instance. So when they know that their children are under the government, I think they will be afraid, even if they are so tempted, going back to their former way of living.
Sounds good to me. Now, there are more questions here. Mrs. Florence Bewa is asking about the IDPs. And she says, in order for schools, jobs, and farming to exist, there has to be some form of security in place. Is your committee making any security arrangements, since you have already starting some schools in your diocese that these kids are going to? And is government going to eventually be able to enable the parents of these children to return from the IDP camps to their ancestral lands?
Thank you, Florence, for that question. I will talk about what I'm doing. Your question is focused on farming and some form of security for the IDPs. Whether there is any security apparatus put in place and all of that. These people no longer have the luxury of going to their farms anymore because of where they are kept. They are in Enyi and also in Uba. They depend largely on the generosity of people like you who come around them and be of help to them. So, and where there are, truth be told, I've been there a couple of times, there are no, military presence, no security that is really watching and guiding them. They are there in the open field. And so that is the situation. They're in the open fields. The ones who are now in my school in Nanyi and Uba, they did from their home, from their camps to the school, and then back again to their camps. I also do not have the capacity to provide for them security, apart from the security that comes from God, who protects us and who guides us always. So that is the situation. The ones that I have taken on board into my secondary school, I would have talked about it earlier on. I do hope that during holidays, they will not go back to the camps. Indeed, I came out with a circular this morning or yesterday night. It was announced in all my churches today that families who are willing to accept these children while on holidays should indicate their willingness to that effect. But again, I'm also conscious of the fact that not all families who will indicate their interest to pick them on board and stay so that they can stay with them in their homes during the holidays will be granted the opportunity. Because I have to check that those families are families that have values, families that are Christian oriented, and it is very obvious that they will not use those children, they will not abuse them, or they will not take them as just simply errand boys and errand girls, but families that will help them to grow into maturity and all of that. So the government for now has not sent any support to me. And indeed, I have not asked the government to send any support to me yet. And what is happening for now is the finances of that I got from America that is helping to sustain what we're doing now. And as I said earlier on, even those finances America has not yet come. I am using other means, financial means to sustain this process with the hope that before the end of the year, these charities that I canvass for in the US will come. That I'm very sure it will come. By God's grace, it will come.
Mm. All right. There are more questions here.
Right.
Matthew Nyikwa, you wrote that you have a concern towards the IDP children, so you would want to say something. Are you there? You want to ask a question. Matthew Nyikwa. Okay, looks like he has left.
Okay.
And Mrs. Suna Nagundu is saying that she believes those boys are working with their masters as well. Is there a way to get them to confess at least who their masters are? Okay, that's just a question.
Yes, I think we'll get to that stage too eventually when we are done with the process. One of the things we're looking forward to is to say that it will get to a point where we'll request of all the boys we're talking about to come out for you might call it de-radicalization process. What do you call it? Integral formation process through workshops and prayers, and of course, at such moments, people can begin to speak in tongues and confess their sins, and also call people who matter in their lives. Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, it is not supposed to be for punitive reasons. It's for corrective reasons. So whether they call the names of their sponsors or not, I think our focal point here should be how they can return home better than they were, or better than they came for the process of integral formation.
So, Your Lordship, Chris Agbo here has a concern and an advice to give. This is what he wrote. Benue State may not have much money. Looking at lessons from Niger Delta agitators who are used to much money through banditry don't usually value stipends. Government allowances cannot fund the kind of lives they have gotten used to. In practice, there is some tendency of the guys to try to rely on their old tricks for their lavish lifestyles. This is something that he wants your committee to bear in mind.
Right. Thank you. Noted.
Yes. I see Benedict has a hand up again. Is there anybody who has not spoken who has a question before I give it to Benedict again?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here, Professor Gigi.
Oh, Prof. Gigi. Yes.
Yeah. I actually had gone out of the system because of power fluctuation. Yeah, I just got back in.
Okay.
Yes. All I want to say to my Lord and the committee is the fact that they are doing a good job. The fact that things are bad, we can't leave them to be the way they are. We have to make efforts, and they are making point-sized efforts. That's very good. We should give them our support in whatever way we need to give them our support. I can recall we spoke about siting of industries. If our youths are engaged, they will have something doing, and their minds will not go, wander around to do the things they were doing. Having come into this position of DG Diaspora, that's one of the key things the present government is asking the office to do, to search for investments, industrial investments, so that we can bring them home and get our youths, engaged to reduce crime. My Lord, I think after listening to your presentation, I've seen that Your efforts are commendable. Because if I had not seen the video and your presentation, my mind was always asking, what is the TOTIP doing? What is the church doing? What is the government doing? But when I went through your video, I saw that you guys are making a lot of efforts. And I also promise, having been given this responsibility, the moment I start work, MUTA is there to work with me. The Idoma community and the Gede community are there to work with me as well, and all our brothers and sisters around the world, so that we'll be able to draw some things in education, in industries, and bring home so that our youth can begin to get engaged and think of purposeful life rather than what they engage in at this moment. Thank you very much, and I thank MUTA for organizing this gathering here. I think we should have such gatherings here, and some of the problems we have at home will gradually be, solved. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much, Prof. Gigi. Thank you for your wonderful contribution. Yes, Mr. Shinku, you can speak again, but please keep it brief because it's getting late at home. And so his lordship may need to retire also soon. So you have the floor now. That was Benedict Shinku.
He's on mute.
Yeah, Benedict, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me another opportunity to speak on this issue. I hope you understand I am at the center of it. One of my cousins was buried alive. I can tell many stories about this issue. But we are talking about how a point was raised about how to prevent extension of this to other parts of Tivland. It's only a matter of time. There are more guns in Konde than there are in Shitire. I can tell you that for a fact. Than there are in Sankara. There are more guns in Konde than there are in Sankara. So it's only a matter of time. So it's important to address proactively how to avoid this extending to other parts of Tivland. So we need to leverage the environmental factors that are in our favor to counter those that have kind of amplified the situation we are in, moving from a simple political problem to a security issue, and now a justice issue like I see it. One of the environmental factors we need to deal with is the way we use land in Tivland. We need to do a complete overhaul of that. And I'll just speak briefly how this can dovetail into solving these kinds of problems. Today, if you go to our villages, you see everybody so these criminals, I don't want to call them criminals, apologies, your lordship. These boys, people who have mischief, who are mischievous, they no longer in the past, our traditional settings, we need to prioritize that. Simply, the government needs to come on hard on the issue of land use. If it means resettling people back to where Yangelu 40 years ago, Hamo na hidden na yem na daluha na government has the power to enforce that. And I am not trying to patronize, but I can tell you that I had something like that written down. Because if we do this, we can free up the land for large-scale mechanized farming, which can bring prosperity to our people. And this, I am saying, we can do across Tivland. So that all these small huts and bachas that these boys build or kidnapping people to keep, this kind of thing, society needs to move away from that kind of social structure to something different. So we need to work on land use. If it involves resettlement, government should please invest in that. Because then we would be addressing on a long-term and sustainable basis the problems that have to do with security, the problems that have to do with deploying development to our people. Because when people are in clusters, it's easier to get to them with schools, with hospitals and everything.
Yeah.
And to build the spirit of community as well.
Yeah, Benedict, thank you very much for these suggestions. For the sake of time, I am also in the environmental field, and I can understand very quickly what you are saying. So we will connect and put a proposal together. I see that Father Francis Asomkase has his hand up, and then Mark Shimawe has come with his hand up. So we will take maybe this will be the two last hands that we take, because we've gone 2.5 hours now, and the day is not getting younger. So please, Father Asomkase.
So, my Lord Bishop Dugu, I would like to thank you again so deeply for this opportunity. This is great work you're doing. A lot of us may not have tons of money to support, but listening to you, it's so inspiring. And maybe we could offer our prayers, but also do a little bit of what we can do with the resources. You're saying that God has placed you there to be in charge of not just Catholics, but everyone in that axis. It's so inspiring, particularly to me. And two important statements you made briefly to quote you. I'm here to die for my people. I will be the last person to leave this place. That's classic Catholic theology of episcopacy. But that's what is taught, or that's what we believe, but it's only a reality when it is put in practice. It seems to me that you are putting that in practice. So thank you so much for your service to our church and humanity there. We will be praying for you, and hopefully when we are home on vacation, we'll stop by briefly. Even though when we are crossing over each time to visit with you, our hearts are in our hands, and yet you're living there all these days without being worried about it. So God bless you, and God bless the people you're there to serve. Thank you, my Lord.
Yeah. Thank you, Father.
Thank you. Mr. Shimabe.
All right, thank you, my Lord Bishop, and for all the work you're doing, and the organizers of this great meeting. So I'm Mark, a priest of originally Ukari Diocese now, but currently working in Jalingo, or now with Jalingo Diocese. And I know that part of the challenges we are having, or you are experiencing, also as a result of the issues around the boundary, especially around the Ukari axis. And I've seen, some of your engagement or involvement with the Church of Ukari. So I'm wondering what other proposals or efforts you are thinking of, or some kind of interfacing that you hope to have with the Diocese of Ukari as regards peace, and maybe extending as far as the Diocese of Jalingo?
Yes, thank you very much for that, Shimelo, for that very insightful question. As you know, what affects me here affects Ukari directly, and vice versa. And your bishop and myself have always been in communication. We have always shared ideas on how best to handle these issues. A few weeks ago, I was in Ukari to attend the silver jubilee of one of my classmates, Father Bozinagwa. After that occasion, I spent some time with Father George Dugu and a few other persons, including your bishop, to see how they can help me to reach out to one of our boys here, who happens to be the uncle of Father George Dugu. It was hard for me to reach out to him, but through their support, I was able to reach out to him and to talk peace. That also is a very practical way to say that your bishop and myself, we are on the same page on this process. And we'll continue to do so for the good of our people. So thanks for your concern. And just to emphasize that we are working together because we have similar kind of problems.
Thank you for the Shimari.
So
Welcome.
Yeah, thank
you. Rex Regan Ai has a question. Let's take that one, and then we'll make that one the very last one. Rex, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Prof. And I want to sincerely appreciate our Bishop. I want to also thank Lord Mvinagauva for the opportunity to also come on board. Like you rightly said earlier, I am from Buruku local government, the neighboring local government to Logo and let's say Sankara generally. And of course, what is happening in that axis concerns us very immensely because any spillover comes down to our place and affects the peace of our area negatively. Having said that, I want to approach it from the point of where the bishop mentioned about setting up of industries. And I recall you quickly mentioned that there is Toji, which is lithium, that is of commercial deposit at the Ainyi axis, and then some other mineralogy that is found in that area. I want to say quickly that one of the ways that that can be harnessed, even if we are not having the capacity to raise, set up industries by ourselves, one of the ways that can be harnessed is that the government can be deliberate and intentional about it. How do I mean? Governments of Ogun State, Kaduna State, and Nasarawa State, for instance, have actually partnered with companies that are mining some of these minerals of the future, which is lithium and others. In Ogun State, for instance, a Chinese company that had come to cut away their gold have been made to establish an industry there, and that is profitable to the citizens of that place. The same is replica in Nasarawa State, where you have another company, also a Chinese, and related to the people in Ogun, Landmass Avatar, who are now working in Nasarawa, around the Nasarawa Toto area. They have also established an industry there. And the government, gave a level playing ground And all that has geared toward bringing about decorum and peace in those areas where the mineral deposits are found. Interestingly, the mineral deposits of Benue seem to have favored the Tiv area. As such, the state governments need to quickly come in and play their pivotal role of harnessing this and making sure that industries are established for the processing, not just people coming to, dig, cut away and move out and then create or heap up insecurity for us. So that's the area I wanted to quickly mention, so that while the bishop is working, perhaps he could put that also as a suggestion to the government of Benue State, that this is another area they can work toward achieving peace in this area. Thank you very much, Prof.
Thanks, Rex. Thank you so much for that contribution. At this point, let me ask Your Lordship, any thoughts before I round this up?
Sorry,
No.
Mr. Chairman, before he speaks, I think I want to say something before His Lordship concludes. Is that okay?
Okay. Yes, fine.
So once again, I want to thank the Bishop for his spending time with us this evening. And so as we conclude, I just wanted to ask Your Excellency one final question. Given the critical work that you've been leading through the Sandra peace process or project, so to speak, how can MUTA and in general the Tiv people in diaspora partner with your committee to support these peace building efforts? In other words, are there specific ways that we can contribute, whether maybe through advocacy, resources, or financial, to help bring lasting peace to the region?
Yeah, thank you, President, for that question. I think I have one of my responses to the questions posed. I did talk about that. I will just reiterate. I feel that in the area of value-based formation could be needed for us here, through perhaps community-based workshop, town hall meetings. That is one other way. Another way could be if there are possibilities of scholarship to our very talented sons and daughters here, that'll be highly appreciated. So that they learn skills, they go into technical schools, others who have the desire for other professionals can also be encouraged to do so. Or sometimes MUTA can also support the social activities. I mentioned the football tournament that the diocese organizes here on a yearly basis, all the cultural revival strategy in terms of the Kwahi festival or the cultural dance, cultural dance troops, and other competition that are out there possible, and generally to support the cause of education, generally speaking, because I am convinced that education is one of the ways of taking us out of ignorance and illiteracy and out of poverty to a level where we can be at par with other nationalities. What is lacking here, basically, fundamentally, is education. There's so much deposit of illiteracy here. So when we cross over that, then we can see better the future for us here ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Lordship.
My lordship, Zume. Let me extend one scholarship to Bishop to find me a candidate in local government so that I can train them in a technical area, whether it's plumbing or electrical work or welding and fabrication or POP or whatever technical area they are interested in. We can he can identify anybody within local government that I can sponsor through a training program in a school or through an apprentice program with an expert technician that is already in that field on an apprenticeship program or whatever. So I'll be responsible for that to support sponsoring the candidate that would find a trade upon graduation to be engaged so that they wouldn't be tempted getting into this other lifestyle that we're trying to minimize.
Thank
So
you.
your Lord Bishop,
That's wonderful.
That's wonderful.
That's a
Yes.
scholarship.
Thank you,
That's-
Dr.
Once we're able to identify a candidate, let me know, and we can work out the details of the sponsorship.
Absolutely. I promise you I will.
And I believe the bishop will accept any such offers. So keep them coming.
Yes. That is wonderful. That was going to be my last call on this. I have the closing marks here before His Lordship will say the closing prayer. And
maybe before the closing remarks, sorry, Doctor, maybe before the closing remarks,
yes.
May I also highlight some concerns here?
Definitely.
Which I feel might be my question before the entire MUTA family. And the question, I have three basic questions here. One, how will MUTA prevent banditry in other parts of Benue State, especially in Kwande? Two, how can MUTA support agriculture in Sandra? Three, what influence does MUTA have to help establish cottage industries? The last one is a passion because, as you all know, a lot of wastages from yams, mangoes, oranges, year in, year out. And we don't have the capacity to process those yams in a way that it can become great avenues of our financial independence. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Lordship. This meeting is being recorded, and so we have those questions on record. I don't think the MUTA president will be able to answer them now. There are questions that we have to sit back and deliberate upon, think about, deliberate upon, before we come up with answers. And this is precisely what our committee is tasked with. The MUTA Strategic Engagement Committee has the responsibility or the mandate to dig into so many areas that can bring relief to some of the hardships that are being faced by our people at home. As an organization, MUTA does not have a lot of money, but they say where there is the will, there is a way. Yeah. And we have resources in different members to be able to mobilize. It may not be financial immediately, but we will be able to mobilize resources that can go towards some of our projects. Just like what Dr. G did, this is why when I spoke with you, I felt like you coming to talk with us would inspire us to see where we could come in. Now, one of the other things that the other efforts that you told me about, but you have not mentioned here today, is that small bakery that you opened in Katsina-Ala. And in that bakery, you are employing people from the IDP camps. That way they could support themselves. and their families. And I feel like something like that, and the model you are putting together of picking the children from the IDP camps and educating them, right? This is only in your diocese, but this is something wonderful. These two things, you put a small business that is easy. It doesn't require, it's not capital intensive to establish a bakery. But then you have less privileged members of the society working there, and you're paying them to improve their livelihoods. If MUTA helps just simply in propagating the work that you are doing, to see how many other people can think about such. Now, if MUTA steps in to help with advocacy, for example, with the education of these children from the IDP camps. There are IDP camps in Makudi. There is one in Kwandi, in More, and all of that. Nobody is thinking about these things, about helping the children. I don't know if the government can even resettle those families anytime soon. But the model you have unveiled of at least beginning to pick the children from there and educating them so they can stand on their feet in the future is wonderful. And I think it is worth emulating by other dioceses, not just the Catholic Church, but there's the Anglican diocese, there's the NKST Synod. If they can also step in and begin to adopt children, not necessarily for these children to come and live with you at home, but adopt a child the way Dr. G has just adopted one now, right? Adopt a child by way of simply paying for their school, for their education. And the way Dr. G has just opened now, it's so enticing. Get a child trained to become a handy person. It's a lot of money in that. And so MUTA could help spread the word. Sensitization is key. There's a lot of ignorance in the land. And also, our committee in our last meeting, we were just thinking, because I'm a professor, and many of us here are professors, we could begin to enlighten our children, our graduates, on how to come here for graduate school. Try to locate resources for them to come here. And this is something that our committee can do. And many other things. On that note, before I conclude, I want to recognize my committee, fellow committee members who are here. We meet almost weekly. Mr. Jerome Bule is the secretary of the committee. Otula Bunku is a member of the committee. Mrs. Miriam Tibzenda, I don't know if she is able to join us today, is a member of the committee. Mrs. Celine Yamo, I saw her on here. She's a member of the committee. Mrs. Rumunteati, it's Ngo Yasibet Yoruba. It's the MUTA PRO and a very hardworking person. And then Mrs. Regina John, another member of the committee. So I want to appreciate them for the hours that they put in. And we are, now that we are no longer just an IDP committee, we are going to really put our heads together and try to create avenues. And luckily, we also have the Director General of Diaspora Engagement here with us. And so we're going to find ways to work together and draw some resources to Tivland. But before I conclude, I want to make a call on all of us that are here today, those at home and those of us that are here. This should be a collective effort. You we have to fight to reclaim our land. We are losing our land. And part of that is because of politicians. Politicians were caught with cheap money, stolen money. And so the way they distribute this money has made our youth to become lazy. Everybody is thinking of easy money. And then it is easy for them to join with things like this. We are living in families. And so there's a lot of work for us to do on Banning. It should be a collective effort. Let's see how we can assist for those of you that are able to very quickly donate to the scholarship fund that the bishop is using to send some of these kids to Dugu, Aracheli, those expensive schools. If you have the means to donate to that scholarship, an account will be made available shortly in the next week or so that you are able to donate. If you are able to talk to your friends who are able to donate, and this should be the beginning. Let's think about adopting children from the different IDP camps and educating them. Primary school is not expensive. Uniform. And then we begin to push them out. When we don't have to go to the extent that the bishop is going, because the bishop has renovated houses and has started schools, and that is something that needs our support. And so let's I will ask the MUTA president to put the email, the MUTA email in the chat so that those who don't have it would have it. And the reason is, if any idea occurs to you after this meeting, please send that idea to that email. We will collect all the ideas and send them to His Lordship. Once again, Your Lordship, we thank you so much for the privilege you have given us to be with us. We know how busy your schedule already is. And for you to have accepted to come and meet with us, it was already a sacrificial act. So thank you so much for joining us today and enlightening us on what is happening in Sankara and on the work that you are doing with the IDP families. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for again sacrificing your time to be with us here today. And this is more so to the non-MUTA members who are at home. It is past almost midnight now, and yet you joined and you stayed throughout. And so we really appreciate you, and we ask God to bless your effort. We must reclaim our land. It is our responsibility to do that. So on that note, let me turn to the Most Reverend Isaac Bundepun Dugu, the Bishop of Katsina-Ala Diocese, to lead us in the closing prayer. Your Lordship.
Thank you, Doctor. Before I pray, I would like to, in a very special way, appreciate MUTA family for this very unique opportunity and privilege. I must confess that I do not take this for granted. I will appreciate it all the days of my life. And I hope this is the beginning of our eventual collaboration and brainstorming on how we can bring peace and also improve our land and also to invest in human beings. So thank you so very much, and be assured of my prayers in all that you do, so that God will bless you and your families and keep us together. Thank you so very much, and God bless you. Now let us say the concluding prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Let's say it together. Almighty and ever-living
God, the source of all authority on earth, and the fountain of peace. We thank you for the gift of our land, Sandra, and our families,
leaders,
and
natural resources.
We are grateful
for your unfailing grace,
which
has
has
sustained
us
in the cause
of our meet
for the
the
peace
peace
initiatives in our land.
we
beg
beg
you
you
to
bless
bless
the organizers
the
of this assembly.
Of this assembly,
of peace
of peace,
And may your face shine on all those
who participated, and may
participated
useful
in
contribution.
contributions.
in your loving
your loving
Kindness,
kindness,
forgive our
forgive our
sins
sins,
and that
Grant
and
our efforts
and resolve
resolve at the
at
meeting.
this meeting we yield the fruits of
We
peace,
yield the fruits
development,
development,
love,
love,
and
and
unity in
unity in
Sandra all
Sandra.
over the world.
All over the world.
Our Lady of
The
the
Lady of
Benue,
the Banner, the Queen
Queen
of
of
Peace,
Peace,
Imperial
and
Azana,
Sanctuary Machela, intercede
intercede
for
for
us now and forever.
Now and forever.
we make
We
our
make our prayer
Prayer through
through
Christ our
Christ our Lord. Amen.
bless you, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you
Ricky.
so much, Lucky. You have a wonderful night rest.
Thank you.
I'm on a yard done. Bye.
Bye.